I've been playing Destiny for a number of years, but Activision, I'm kind of new to. I started tuning into their quarterly earning reports about the middle of last year, and I started to pay attention. I noticed they always have an upbeat way of talking. It could be the worst quarter ever, but hey, it's good. We're looking all right. Yesterday was a perfect example of that. They talked really good about Call of Duty, which, let's admit here, Call of Duty has done really well. They completely avoided Diablo. They didn't avoid it. They just simply said things like, for the players that have played it, they deeply enjoyed it. They even said things like how thankful they are for the passion that their community has for Diablo. But all I got from that one was, hey, listen here. We're going to mobile whether you like it or not. That's a lot of people to be missing out on in terms of sales though. So we'll see what exactly happens. But they mentioned Destiny 2 about 3 or 4 times. And this was one of the very few times that Activision didn't have that upbeat tempo. They actually sounded unhappy with Bungie and with Destiny 2 Forsaken, which blows my mind. And I've seen videos all over the place. Destiny 2 Forsaken underperformed. Destiny 2 Forsaken didn't meet internal sale goals. And as I was listening to this, and I realized that they didn't have that upbeat tempo, that Activision was actually unhappy with Bungie for once, I realized why. Boys, Bungie has done a 180 on a lot of things. They brought us a good quality game. They gave us lots of in-game content for us to dive into. They reworked their annual content drop to be dropped under one price tag, but more so than ever, Eververse has been something not pushed in our face. Eververse, which as you know, this time last year, we had Festival of the Costs. So what all I got from this earnings call was Activision was unhappy, not with the actual sales of Destiny 2 Forsaken, but instead with the monetization of in-game purchases. That's what I caught on, because when they were asked what improvements that they were planning to do with Destiny, the reply was purely surrounded around getting more monetization. And what's unfortunate about that is that I think the narrative gets twisted. Instead of it reading, Bungie delivers high quality DLC while also simultaneously edging away from in-game transactions, instead, a lot of people take the narrative, Destiny 2 Forsaken was a flop. It underperformed because it's a lackluster DLC, which couldn't be further from the truth. Guys, I'm putting this video together because I don't know what's gonna happen between Bungie and Activision and the Destiny franchise. Paul Tassi even stated that even if Bungie's deal with Activision was supposed to be a decade long, I'm not sure that we're guaranteed a Destiny 3 at this point. And we know that Bungie is starting to look at developing other games as well. I think he's referring to NetEase, but I wouldn't hold my breath about that considering NetEase is actually in the same funk as Blizzard and Diablo, and I don't care to play mobile games. But he did goes on to mention that Activision and Bungie would be crazy to drop Destiny, and they would be crazy. But the problem with Activision, after tuning into all these different earning calls for over a year now, is they never talk about the quality of the game. Not once in any of these quarterly earnings have I heard anyone speaking about specifics in game. Most of their comments are something that you can get from a readout. Just basic analytics. How long are people playing? How much are they spending? And that is it. It's the reason why Candy Crush is Activision's favorite game. And that's what concerns me, is that people have made comments in the past that Bungie signed a deal with the devil. And I used to not believe it. I used to be like, man, people getting crazy. But tuning into these earning calls, it does concern me. It does. Bungie is out here right now trying to make a high quality game. And they did here with this DLC. I don't know who decided to rethink the wheel for Destiny 2 Vanilla. It was a terrible choice. Whether it was Bungie or Activision, whether it was both, I don't know. Whether it was some outside analyst that came in and said, yeah, this is the method. This is the business model. I hope to God he is nowhere near Destiny or Bungie. But this earnings call yesterday concerns me because Bungie right now with Forsaken has laid a foundation that doesn't just last here for D2, but it can continue into their next game and whatever they finally do after this 10-year contract is up. Then people are not just going to disperse and go home, boys. They need jobs. There's a lot of people working at Bungie, a lot of talented people that if I had the money, I'd hire them, make some hella good games. But what I hope for right now is that Bungie stays to the path that they are on. So despite the narrative that's being put out there that Destiny 2 Forsaken underperformed and people immediately associate that that means that the game sucks and that the DLC was a flop, it has got to be said more than once, this was the best DLC Bungie has ever made. And going forward, This needs to be the recipe for every one of their expansions and sequels. And I know in the past people have stated things like Destiny is dead. Bungie has lost it. I think at one point we may have believed that, but Bungie has made such a good comeback here with D2 Forsaken, and this is the path that they gotta stay on. Because just to level with you, Destiny or Bungie, neither one of those will survive another launch like Destiny 2. So guys, I'm trying not to come off as loom and gloom. I just wanted to put out my thoughts on the earnings call yesterday. It's the first time I ever see Activision actually call out someone in an earnings call. And I mean, they didn't like jump up and be like, hey Bungie, y'all suck. But they said a number of times that Bungie underperformed. I really don't think they underperformed as badly as they're making it out. I'm serious, guys. I really think there is some internal conflict. As many times as they mention it, there is some sort of internal conflict on monetization and the fact that Bungie has been pushing away from that. Because I've been in earning calls before with other games that have done poorly and they didn't get that kind of treatment. But before we go up and say that Bungie is the victim in all of this, understand I don't care who the victim is. I don't care if your daddy is big bad Activision. I think like most of us, we just care that we get a good game. And clearly, from this DLC, Bungie has done that. So there is no need to rethink the wheel and to do anything differently than what they're doing now. I will say outside of that, I would love to see some sort of improvements on getting more new players into this game. And who knows, maybe this annual pass thing is going to actually work. We'll just have to wait and see. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.